Yo, what is going on, guys? How's it going today? My name is Scapenomics and welcome back to another flipping video. And in this one, I'm going to be flipping the Grand Exchange for the first time since taxes have come out. Now, I know it's been about 2 weeks, but before I wanted to try flipping with taxes, I wanted some of that hype volume to die down a bit. So we're diving in today, flipping for the first time with taxes. We're going to head over to the exchange and see if taxes kill flipping profit or not, and my thoughts on taxes being involved in the Grand Exchange in general. Alright, we are over at the Grand Exchange with max cash in the stack. This is what I use for most of my active flipping sessions, and since this is my first time flipping with tax today, I'm going to treat it like a normal session at first, see what's changed since the taxes have come in, and then adjust my strategy depending on how taxes affect things. Because this is my first time flipping actively with tax, I think I'm going to take things a little bit slow today, but we are starting off with the Grazi. We're looking at about a 2 mil margin on this with the tax, about a 1 mil profit on each. We'll see if that actually goes through. I have no problems raising the buy price if we can't get them for this price, but we'll give it a few minutes. I also have no idea how tax actually affected how long trading times are going to be. I assume that trades are going to take a little bit longer, so we'll give everything a little bit longer than we normally would if we were flipping without tax. We also went ahead and listed the Dragon Claws. Those are looking pretty good too, but I am shocked to see Dragon Claws trading above 78 mil. That is crazy. Definitely some funky things going on in the markets right now, as a lot of items are getting pumped up, likely due to some of the tax effects that are coming in, but also as well, we do have Next on the horizon, which is important to remember. That is definitely driving the economy. I've gone ahead and listed a few more items. You'll notice immediately that I'm already trading kind of tight with my items. And what I mean by that is I'm not deploying a ton of my cash into an item like a Twisted Bow or a Scythe. Honestly, I'm a little bit nervous to flip those right now, but we'll definitely get into that later in the session. But I'm just taking tight trades, trying to make a little bit of profit, feel things out with the tax, and see what I can make from this situation. So far, though, things look relatively normal. I'm not seeing the tax affecting time too much, but I would say we are waiting a little bit longer for trades in comparison to before tax. I do suspect that the longer trading time is going to lead to larger margins even above the tax amounts that you have to pay, but that is just a guess, so we'll have to see if that's true. Boom, our first flip of Grand Exchange tax has gone through, which is crazy. We made 464k on one Grazi so far, which is kind of interesting to be quite honest. Haven't flipped with the tax yet. We did sell that off for, let's see, well, we sold it off for 119,495,000, but with the tax taking about 1.1 mil, we did end up making about 460k on it. Taxes are definitely affecting your profits a little bit, but the margins are a little bit bigger. I have noticed that, and like we were kind of guessing before, the trades are taking a little bit longer. So we are right on the money, I think, with those assumptions. We'll play out the rest of the session here and see if that actually is the case. A little bit of an update on this session. We are still moving a couple items around, but I wanted to show you guys the stats here, which I will be including in the future videos as well as we go through the session. But we have 765k in profit so far, with an hourly profit of about an average of 3.4 mil an hour. 15 minutes into the session today, with the Grazi still being our #1 flip, we were able to sell some Dragon Claws for a 301k profit, and these profits are after tax as well. Now, I decided to go ahead and throw a Blood Rune flip in there as well. I might make a separate video trying like high volume stuff to see if that has become more profitable, but I wanted to see Blood Runes today just to get a taste of it. So if you want to see a video on high volume flipping with taxes, let me know. I'd be very interested in trying that out as well. One thing I'm noticing with this post-tax flipping is when margins move around a lot, you don't want to freak out and change your margins all the time. For example, we have these Dragon Claws selling for 78.7 mil, and I just saw the margin shift down to 77.5 mil on the sell offer, but I just held through, having a feeling it would bounce back pretty quick, and that actually did happen. It bounced back in about 2 minutes, and we were able to sell 2 pairs of claws. So honestly, I think you just have to wait a little bit longer for your flips to finish in this post-tax meta. We cleaned up a nice 270k on the Sanguesti staff. Took a while, but still made a decent profit on that. Another update, 20 minutes into the session, we have about 1.8 mil in profit, averaging about 5.7 mil an hour right now. And keep in mind, we haven't done any massive flips yet. We haven't gotten our twisted bow through yet or any sides. And I think those will be drawing the most of our profit today. But honestly, right now, doing pretty good. Doesn't seem like there's as much competition as there was before on a lot of our flips, which is really, really great. I'm very happy that the meta shifted that way with the tax update. That being said, it is pretty frustrating to be paying 5 mil in tax to only have a 1.8 mil profit. Pretty crazy in my opinion, but again, can't make a full opinion on post-tax flipping yet, but so far, it looks relatively similar to pre-tax flipping. We were able to sell the Lance as well, very nice. I think I can say with relative confidence, even though this is only one flipping session, that flipping with smaller cash stacks is actually better with tax because it seems like there's a little bit less competition. You have more say over what you want your margins to be, and we're actually not struggling very much to flip the Dragon Hunter Lances, which pre-tax, I was having a pretty hard time flipping them for a good profit without running into some competition. So I do think that flipping might be better for smaller cash stacks post-tax. There we go, boys. We were able to smack our first scythe flip of the session. We made a decent bit of profit on it, actually, which is very, very nice. Even with the tax, 1.2 mil flip on the scythe. And it took maybe a little bit longer than it would have in the past. Maybe another 2 or 3 minutes than I would have pre-tax. So that's honestly not that big of a difference. We're going back in, trying to smack another one for 5 GP more than we bought before. I'll let you know if I have any luck. Another session update. We're about 36 minutes in. We did get that scythe through like I was talking about before. One more pair of Dragon Claws as well. We are currently waiting on a handful of flips. The twisted bow I am getting a little bit nervous about because we have been holding on to that for quite some time. It's been maybe 15, 16 minutes that we've been holding the twisted bow, so it did lower the margin on it a little bit. The active margin on it, though, still says it's in a good price range, so it should sell any minute now. Unfortunately, it will be about a 500k profit at this price level, so maybe I got in for too high of a price on that twisted bow. Regardless, though, we did end up buying another scythe. We are trying to sell it for about a mil over where we sold the previous one, trying to test out the ability with stretching margins post-tax and how that actually plays into your flipping sessions going forward. Boom, we did get that twisted bow off. Very, very happy about that. Looks like it's going to be about a 540k profit. Super nice. We're actually going to try and flip another one because the margin on that twisted bow has gotten a little bit bigger. So we're going to go in on it and try to buy another one. We'll do this one for about a mil lower than where we bought the previous one, putting us in at about 982 million, maybe 305,000. Should be good in getting this next twisted bow. Hey, if you are finding value from this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more money making and flipping tips. Anyway, back to the video. We also smacked a Dragon Warhammer profit, 660k for one Dragon Warhammer flip. That is absolutely absurd. I am going to go back in for another one, but I don't think we're going to fill again at this price. Amazing. We were able to flip another scythe, believe it or not. We just got that next one through for that additional 1 mil in profit. I'm going to check the trade history right now on that, and looks like it is a 2.23 mil profit, which is super, super nice. Very happy about flipping that scythe. We're going to go in for an additional one because the margin has still not updated. We're going to try to hit that 2.2 mil profit margin again. Now, a lot of you might be wondering if I'm going to make new flipping guides for post-tax flipping, and yes, absolutely I will be doing that. I will need a little bit of time to figure out how to flip post-tax, but we are currently off to a great start, and I wanted to get a video out to share my impressions live with you guys, and how I think post-tax flipping is actually going to be different from pre-tax flipping, but it's generally the same as of right now. We'll do a little bit of a recap at the end of the video with my overall thoughts, but yes, I will be making updated guides for post-tax flipping. And we just crushed another scythe. I'm not even kidding. We have been making a killing on flipping the scythe on this flipping session today. That one was for a little bit over 2 mil, so that's very nice. Very happy to put those gains into my stack. Currently up about 9.5 mil on the session, 45 minutes in. This post-tax flipping doesn't look that bad. Now, while I did say that the flipping doesn't look that bad, I am looking at some losses here. The sharks are probably not going to be a big loss, but I did want to test them out. But things like the Sanguesti, that's going to cost us maybe 200k. The Imbued Heart, that's going to be basically break even, maybe 100k loss at the most. And the crossbows are going to be the worst offender from a negative profit standpoint. We could be looking at maybe a 1.2 mil loss on the crossbows here. Now, I did want to risk it and try them out to see if they'd work. Turns out, doesn't look like they're going to work out for us, and they're actually coming down in price as we speak, including the tax. That's going to be a hefty bill for us, but we're going to hold it out a little bit longer, probably until the end of the session, and then sell it off and see what happens. We booked our first loss of the day, the Sanguesti staff. Now, we didn't lose money on it overall, but we did lose about 200k on the last one that we did sell, so that is a little bit unfortunate. One thing I definitely don't like about the tax is that if you get the flip wrong, you are seriously going to get punished. I mean, first of all, you're selling it for less than the margin itself, and then you're paying tax on top of that. Oof, those losses are really going to hurt, especially on those high ticket items. We're coming up on our last 10 minutes of the session, currently sitting at about 9.5 mil in profit. I do expect this to come down with some of the losses we might be looking at, so we might be gaining around 8 mil at the end of the session. That is my current guess, unless we get lucky with some other flips here in the short. Wow, we ended up smacking another Dragon Warhammer for a total of a 1.1 mil profit. I think we made another like 660k on that last one. That is freaking crazy. I think we just got lucky. We're coming up on the end of the 1 hour session, so what I'm going to do is start to sell our items back. The crossbow and the imbued hearts, I'm actually going to dump these to show the worst case scenario on these items. And let me tell you, those crossbows are going to cost us a lot of money. The imbued heart's going to cost us a little bit too. I'll cancel everything besides the Scythe of Vitur. I'm going to leave that in a little bit longer and hope it sells for the session. Doesn't really make sense to dump that because it's going to cost us like 7 mil, so we might as well just avoid dumping that and hope it sells before the end of the video. Look, you can see here that one failed imbued heart flip ended up costing us 600k. That is insane. That does include tax, but that is a ton of money to lose on a flip. And we have started to sell off the crossbows. We also sold everything else. Most of the stuff that we had to sell was for a loss. Besides the scythe, obviously, we're still waiting on that. But even the sharks ended up costing us like 200k. And that is a high volume flip, so that seems extremely dangerous for high volume flipping itself. I'll have to do a separate session to check that out. Let me know in the comments if you want that. But regardless, though, 2 crossbows costing us 885k. Loss. So this is going to be an extreme loss for the crossbow flip, probably going to run us like 4 mil in losses potentially, which is really insane, guys. I mean, gotta have to be careful with that going forward. I wasn't necessarily trying to profit this session like immensely. I mean, of course I was trying to, but it didn't really matter if I did or not. Just trying to get my hands on tax and how that really affects the meta here in the Grand Exchange, but it's definitely pretty extreme. The losses can be devastating, so something to keep in mind. We'll talk about that a little bit more at the end here. Wow, we were able to get those crossbows off for a 4.3 mil loss. Can you believe that? That is crazy. We did get the scythe off though, which is nice. We only made a mil on that last one, which isn't too crazy, but still happy about it. Anyway, though, we're going to go into the recap section here so we can talk about this session. All right, we're at the end of our session. We ended up making 5.8 mil all in all. Now, if we didn't flip the crossbows, we would have made about 9 mil, which would have been a lot better. But honestly, 5.8 mil, not upset about that at all. That's about an average stream session for us within an hour, so not too bad. Now, that being said, I will put a screenshot on screen right now of all the flips we went through, our profits and losses for them, but I did want to talk about some things I observed throughout my flipping session, what I like about post-tax flipping, and what I really don't like about post-tax flipping. I think the first thing here is larger margins. Now, that is a major pro in my opinion. Your flips are going to make you more money while you flip them, and that is tax included. Now, I think this mainly comes from less competition, which means you're actually getting more control over your margins, and margins are not as set in stone. So margins are not fluctuating nearly as much as they were, and you can actually make more on your flips even with the tax. Now, I think that was seen in the Scythe of Vitur flips, where we're bagging 2 mil actively on those sides. Really good profit on those. Actively pre-tax, you're probably making about 1 mil on a normal day on those. Now, keep in mind, this was also one session of flipping, right? If I did multiple sessions, I'm sure I'd notice some different things. This is just my first take. Also, one thing I did realize as well is medium level items are now a lot better to flip. I was flipping Bandos chest plates, an item that was extremely competitive pre-tax that has actually become really easy to flip post-tax, and I was able to make a good amount of money on that. Looks like we made 570k in total on the Bandos chest plates and didn't really have a ton of resistance when I was flipping them as well. So pretty happy about that. But the main pros would be larger margins, less competition, and medium items being a lot better to flip. The verdict is still out on high volume items. I'll have to look into that. Now, some of the cons I did want to talk about as well that won't be a shock for this video, but the losses are devastating, right? If you're flipping on the Grand Exchange and you take a loss, well, that loss is going to be further compounded because when you go to sell the item, you're actually paying a tax on the sell offer and not the buy offer. So your losses are going to get compounded and you'll end up losing a lot of money. That was shown in the crossbow example where we ended up losing 4.3 mil. And while I wouldn't typically flip a crossbow in a normal session, I did want to try out more medium level items and I got crushed. If I waited it out, I probably wouldn't have lost as much money, but I did want to kind of secure the profits to make the summary of this video a little bit better. Also, one thing that is kind of a negative as well is that your flips are taking longer. Now, this is offset by having larger margins and less competition, but if your active flips are taking longer, it's going to lead to more idle time while you are flipping, and that's not only less exciting, but that's going to cost you some profit. I do think the margins have been offset enough to compensate for this, but it still is a little bit unfortunate. Now, that's going to affect high volume stuff more so, and the taxes on those are not great. So again, verdict is still out on that, but flips taking longer is something that benefits larger items a little bit more, or doesn't affect larger items as much, but those medium volume items and those high volume items are really going to see the brunt of this. One more con that I noticed is real-time margins are not as accurate. So if you are using a site like GE Tracker, which we are affiliated with, by the way, link in the description below, but if you are using them, the margins are not going to be as spot on as they were pre-tax. I think this is one, a volume issue, and two, I just don't think that, I think that tax playing into these flips makes it a little bit harder for those margins to get realized, and that does reflect on the reporting of the margins. So just keep that in mind. You have more control over those margins than you think, which is a pro, but also a con if you are just used to, plugging in those prices from GE Tracker and flipping those margins. Thank you guys for tuning into this one. I'm so excited to try more post-tax flipping, especially on live stream with you guys. We'll see if we can make a killing on live stream. I have a feeling we're going to be able to make some bank on there. So be sure to check out some of my past live streams if you haven't. Anyway, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday. This is my 5th year on YouTube, which is absolutely crazy. And you guys and my fan base, that is the biggest gift that I could ever receive. So thank you so much for sticking with me, supporting me. Happy holidays to everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.